Hi there, Sage Shande of Biomechanics Productions here with another training talk. Today we're going to talk about supports in running, and I mean things like wraps or ankle supports. And I want to thank Caleb Ma for submitting this question as a comment. Again, feel free to comment below with future training talk topics as well as vote, because the ones with a lot of thumbs up will get my attention. And I did want to get back into doing some training talks, as well as the UTMB 100 training series, as well as my own adventures in mountain ultra trail running and marathon running. But to get into the training talk, we'll just dive right in. I think it really depends on the support we're talking about, and it depends on the person. Because let's face it, we're all different. Biomechanically, we're all different. And disclaimer, I am not a doctor. Seek the advice of your doctor or a certified professional. Do not take my advice, or take my advice with a grain of salt. And do not start any new training program without the advice of a doctor. And I'm not liable if you get injured or die. So now that we got that out of the way. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of people get overuse injuries. Running's very, very rough on the biomechanical system, your skeletal muscular system, sorry. The biomechanics of it cause a lot of force. And when you look at your tendons, muscles, and bones, we're very susceptible to pain and injury, and most runners, at least over the course of their career, will get injured. Knock on wood somewhere for me, but it comes down to a lot of things that you can control and you can't control. So, you know, you might be born, like my back's a little crooked. Maybe, you know, one leg's a little bit longer than the other. Everyone's gonna have a slight leg length discrepancy. Some people a lot more than others. And when you're talking about, you know, something more than a ½ inch, it gets pretty significant when you're running thousands and thousands of steps. And then you look at other biomechanical differences. You look at, you know, your arch type, your foot, different foot widths, different, how flexible your arch is, basically how flat your foot is, or how rigid and high your arch might be, as well as, you know, bone density, you know, tensile strength, things like that could really, little tweaks like that are what usually cause pain. And so when we look at structural things to support those tweaks, be it maybe you have a weak ankle, maybe you turned your ankle out, you supinated. If you're looking at your foot head on, supination would be being more outside on your foot. So maybe, you know, you twist your ankle that way. So you're coming back, ankle's kind of weak and wobbly. What do you do to address that? Well, you could wear an ankle brace, ankle wrap, and that's going to help support things as you come back from this injury. But do you want to be too, you don't want to grow too accustomed to it, because what the root of the problem is, maybe you had too much of a motion control shoe, maybe your shoe was too built up on the inside edge, inside arch, and it caused you to roll over. Maybe you just, you know, rolled it over on a curb or on a root or rock on the trail or something. But then you look at the shin muscles. Sorry, I'm doing this with my arm. It's really your leg. You look at the shin muscles maybe on the outside of your leg, and maybe that's what needs strengthening. So like little things like that, and that's just an example. Same thing with the arch. A lot of people get plantar fasciitis. You could be susceptible from that from just running too much, having an arch that collapses a lot. If you have a really high arch, generally it's pretty rigid, and the plantar fascia, of course, runs under your foot. It's a very fibrous tissue that connects into the heel bone and then runs to the ball of the foot, and it takes a lot of pounding. So maybe your arch collapses too much and it ripped, it got a micro tear, got inflamed, nasty one to get rid of. But maybe to strengthen your arch, you want to practice picking up marbles out of a bucket with your foot, or you know, have a rug on the ground and scrunch up your feet like this and just kind of work that arch, work those muscles, because if they're weak, they're susceptible to injury. And that's kind of like the idea of foolproofing your body, be developing strength in different ways to avoid injury, basically. And the supports and braces are going to help you get through that if you're injured. So if you have really messed up arches, if you have really high arches, you have to see a podiatrist, and maybe they made these custom orthotics for you, and these really hard, stiff orthotics. And I worked in specialty running shoe stores for a number of years, and so I saw all thousands of different types of feet. And if you have really custom special orthotics, then generally you need to stick with them, because maybe your arch is really high and really curvy, and if you don't have that kind of support in, it could cause some injury or pain. But then, you know, you look with inserts and orthotics and shoes and running shoes, and you also have to look at what type of running shoe you're running in and what your running form is like. So there's all these variables at play, and it can get very complicated. It is kind of an individual thing. So I'm gonna say, I guess there's no set foolproof formula besides listen to your body and try to address little aches and pains that are there, little imbalances. If you notice you're always rolling your ankle out, then maybe you want to look at addressing strengthening your shin muscles, or working on hopping exercises or drills, or something to address that coordination issue, or you know, a leg length discrepancy issue, or like I said, the arch type issue. And then look at the wear pattern on your shoes, look at the type of shoes you're training in. Two different main categories of shoes. I could do a whole big talk on this, but more stability motion control shoes, which usually means if you're looking at your foot head on here, this is your foot, it's my hand, but it's your foot. The inside edge, the medial edge, is going to be more built up. It might have a gray material in the midsole, which is a firmer material. They call that a posting. It keeps you from pronating in, which is when your foot rolls inward. And we're talking laterally here. We're not talking if your feet are duck-toed or pigeon-toed. We're talking about lateral rolling. The arch is collapsing underneath like that. High-end motion control shoes and stability shoes help prevent that. And you know, a little bit of pronation is natural. That's a natural amount. But if you really overpronate, if you have really flat feet, sometimes you need that extra support. And then on the other hand, if you're way on the outside of your foot, most people should land on the outside of their foot, but you don't roll in very much. You generally would go with a more straight up cushion shoe, which might be straight white material, midsole foam material that's generally pretty soft and cushioned. And generally those type of people would have pretty high to medium types of arches. So we're looking at that. Now you look at ankle braces, you look at knee wraps. Let's go into knee wraps. A lot could go wrong with the knees and hips. Those are real sensitive points. I'm just gonna touch on this briefly because I don't have a whole lot of experience with really heavy duty types of knee pain. The basic one is if you have patellar tendonitis, generally it's gonna be under the kneecap, straightforward. It's this tendon right here. That's a pretty easy one to solve. Usually people wear a band, and it's basically an elastic band, or it could be like a Protect thing that wraps around. It helps kind of put pressure on that area right below your knee, on that tendon, kind of keeps it tracking nice and up and down. Could alleviate some of the pain and inflammation. So that's generally a good thing that you could kind of run through and have. You still probably want to ice it too if it's tendonitis. But other knee things, I mean, yeah, if you have bad knees, or you know, if you've had knee surgery, it's a whole different ball game with wearing supportive braces and developing strength. And there's also some exercises that you could probably do. Doctor recommended single leg squats probably come to mind. Developing quad strength might help strengthen kind of the knee joint area. If you have more stability in your quads and your vastus medialis, I think that's what that muscle is called, on the inside of your leg. I guess that's not part of your quadricep group, but that one, I point to it, I guess, this guy right there, I think could help with the stabilization and just training. If you train on soft surfaces, you run at a slow, comfortable pace, you're developing the skeletal muscular system to become more resistant to injury and to develop that tendon strength and hopefully, you know, bone density. Get your vitamin D checked so that you don't get a stress fracture or an overuse injury. And running form, again, you got to look at you know, light, quick on your feet. You can check out our running form video. Sandy and I did a running form video. I'll link to it there. I should also mention, I guess, that compression sleeves or like ice wraps would be totally different from these structural types of supports like the ankle braces or even the patellar tendon bands. So like the Compressport gear that I wear, compressportusa.com, enter SAGE 15 for 15% off, by the way. that kind of allows light compression during exercise with the calf sleeves to allow for blood flow. Slight pressure allows for blood, some dilation in the blood vessels, which allows for faster blood flow. And then there's the recovery socks or compression socks, which are designed for recovery after working out or racing or flying on the airplane, for different graduated compression. And that's going to be totally different from these more structural braces, whether it's a knee brace or wrap. And then a recovery wrap also could provide compression to a sore muscle or sore area, which could be really good if you're rehabbing from injury, say hamstring type of pull. You're trying to get back into things. It's going to allow blood flow to the injured muscle or area. It's going to be a good thing, as well as feeling more comfortable, or if you're running in the cold as well. But in terms of structural support, some of that compression gear can keep the muscle oscillation down, which could be a really good thing if things are tracking nice and evenly during like a mountain race or something. But again, it's a little bit different. I always try to mix things up a little bit with different types of compression and gear, but I always race in the compressed sport calf sleeves, obviously. But yeah, I think that just about covers some really basic things, and I can't make this training talk too long, but I hope that kind of helps you when you're looking at all the variables that come into play when you should be using or you shouldn't be using supportive devices in your running. And it kind of goes back to this whole strength training thing, doing exercises to improve your running form, your running economy, but also doing exercises to address weak points that might cause injury. And I think that's the real key takeaway on this, is to look at yourself, look at you as, you're an individual. We've got biomechanical differences, and we've got skeletal muscular differences, whether they're imbalances or little kinks in our form. And like I said, my back's crooked, it hurts sometimes, my hips are stiff. Things to address that, and look at your shoes, get into that, as well as your training. If you're running really fast and hard all the time, you're probably more at risk for injury. If you're running on uneven rocks all the time, you're probably at more risk to turn your ankle, but at the same time you could develop more lateral strength and the resistance, I guess, stronger ankles to become more resistant to turning your ankle. So training stimulus, training stress results in a certain type of stimulus. And I guess that's really enough of my rant. Glad to be bringing these training talks back, but feel free to comment below and vote for a future training talk topic. Really appreciate all the support and views and shares, as well as subscriptions. If you like this, please share this across social media. I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Sage Canaday, Facebook Sage Canaday fan page. And Sandy and I just came out with our new book, The Sage Running Secret. If you visit sagerunning.com/ebook, you can check that out, as well as our training plans. But thanks again for all the support. We really appreciate it. I wish you the best with your summer training, and stay tuned for more via 2Max Productions.